Hello everyone! Good morning! Don't forget to say hello in the comments if you're watching. Cara already has. Good morning, Cara. Thank you for tuning in. So today we are looking at the poem Assault by Erno Müller. I have downloaded a blank copy on the Aim Higher resources page, which I hope you have managed to print off. If you haven't, then you'll need it for this week's lesson. So it's on Word and PDF. There's also questions on the poem, so we're going to work on it 3 days this week and do other things in between, and you need to try and answer the questions because that's what we're going to go over today, and that will help us compile all our notes on the poem, because next week we are going to focus on critical essay writing, and I'm sure we've all had some experience of it at primary or perhaps first year, second year, third year. But I'm going to go through it step by step, how to do an introduction, how to do a main body paragraph, how to do a conclusion, that sort of thing, and show you some amazing examples. So we're going to focus on this poem for that. And if you have older brothers or sisters, then we're doing the same thing with them this week. We're studying a poem called Disabled by Wilfred Owen. You're welcome to join us for that too. But they are also going to be focusing on critical essay writing by the end of the week. So that's the week ahead. So thank you for tuning in advance. As always, we're going to start today's lesson with our word of the day to develop our vocab and our minds. So today's word is artillery, which is a noun. So it's basically the big large caliber guns, the big weapons that you use for warfare. For example, the troops were overcome by a line of tanks and heavy artillery. And today's spelling word, again, I've uploaded the spelling words for the spelling bee, which is a week on Wednesday, and that'll be word-based. So all the words are already uploaded. We're going to go over one every day. So today's spelling word is soldier. I don't know how times I was a teacher I've read solider, so it's S-O-L-D. So that's just a wee tricky one. I know it's quite easy for some of you, but it is one of those badly misspelt words. You know, I love a bit of cheese. So today's pun of the day. What kind of shorts do clouds wear? Thunderwear. Love it. Holly the dog has joined us. Hello, Holly Bully. He's a good girl. Who's a good girl? She's just watching me as if I'm insane. Alright, just one little minute to get our brains ticking. I'd like you, the first task is, I'd like you to think about a little word bank. So it can be written, it can be spoken. If you're on your own, you can still speak. I do it all the time. About how do you think soldiers would feel during combat? Alright, so you can maybe split it into physical pain and emotional pain. So just try and think of some words that you would chuck into a word bank if you were talking about soldiers' feelings, alright? Alexa, play. Alexa, stop. Thank you, my little snuffle face. Thank you, husband. Cup of tea. Just what the doctor ordered. How did you get on? Did you come up with some amazing ideas? I'm sure you are, so you can maybe use some of these feelings in your own little poem or a word bank for a story, something like that. Store it. Do you ever know when you can use it? Right, so we're going to just talk about assault. We're going to focus today on stanza 1 and 2, to you and me. Stanza is another word for a verse. Stanzas just mean that they're not regularly in terms of, they're not regular in terms of structure, line length, that sort of thing. So we talk about a stanza in terms of it's just got a sort of free flowing poem sort of story. Right, so the poem Assault, it explores the devastating effect of a gas attack. Obviously the first half is all about the impact of that gas attack on some poor helpless soldier. The appalling conditions, that's what the second half of the poem looks like. So focusing on the mud and all the terrible conditions the men had to endure. And obviously Müller effectively explores the drama and the fear of the men on the battlefield. So that's maybe one of the feelings that you came up with there, fear. Alright, so I'm just going to read stanza 1, just as a wee reminder. Hopefully you've got the poem in front of you. Gas. Faces turned, eyes scanned the sky. Hands feverishly ripped open canisters. So it's short and sweet, bit like myself, although I'm not short. Stanza 2 reads, and masks were soon covering faces. A man choked as the white cloud, swirling round him like fog, caught him unawares. Then his body flopped over. Shells floated across as if suspended by hidden strings, and then, tired, they sank earthwards. Okay, so the first question I asked you to look at was, the poem is set in World War I. Pick out 3 words or expressions which show you that the poem has a war setting. Alright, so you might have picked things up like gas. Obviously it's talking about gas as in warfare, not as in gas as in what my husband has. Canisters, shells floated, bayonet, that's, you know, the big pokey stick thing, the big weapon they attach to a rifle. Open trench, so the mention of a trench. Through the wire, right, obviously that's the barbed wire they had round the fields. And kill, so the reference to kill, not really a hobby that we all take up from time to time, is it? So these are all clues that it's set in war. So you might have picked out some of them. Maybe you've got others. Write them down if you have. Let me know. Stanza 1, question 2. Write down 2 ways the poet makes the opening line, gas, stand out. So firstly, it's the opening line, so it's immediately shocking to us. Secondly, it's given a line of its own. It's only one word, you might have said. It's a single word sentence, it's a non-sentence. You know, these are all the sort of terms you'll be getting used to. So it stands out because it's been put on its own. And the exclamation mark, patoo, that also draws our attention to it. Then he talks about hands feverishly ripped open canisters on the 3rd line. So the question was, what does this expression tell you about the way the soldiers react to the gas attack? So obviously the fact that they're feverishly doing it, so think about what feverishly means, frantically, you know, quickly, so that shows their panic, you know, they're not going to be like, oh aye, there's gas over there, right, where is that? Oh, dead, right? So obviously they're quickly trying to get this mask on to save their lives, so there's a sense that they're fumbling around, and it's obviously an urgent moment, the situation they're in. Question 4. There's an example of onomatopoeia. Remember we looked at that last week. You should all know what that is by now. If not, watch the vids back. They're all on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. So, quote the onomatopoeia and say why it's effective. So what does it make us imagine or picture? So the answer was ripped. So there's a sense of force and urgency. Obviously it's quite a harsh sound. So it just shows the idea that they're pulling their masks on as quick as they can. They're not really taking care over it. They're just ripping that thing on and out to get it on. Okay, stanza 2 we'll have a look at now. So first question, 5A. Sorry, I've just realised I'm hiding the screen. So pick out and quote the metaphor on line 7. Again, if you don't know what a metaphor is, there's a video on that we've done. So this was all building up. So that's the reason I was focusing on techniques for all those lessons, because I want you to all be able to analyse a poem properly and write a critical essay about it. And in order to do that, you need to know what you're doing with techniques. You need to know what they are and why they've been used. So that's what annotations and analysing poetry and any other text is all about. So the metaphor is white cloud. So the gas is called a white cloud. Next part of the question is, in your own words, explain what the poet is telling us about the gas by using that metaphor. So what does it add to that idea? So what are the two things? So obviously the way the gas is coming in, or the gas as a group, is described as a cloud. So why? So you could say something like, a cloud is a thick white shape which suggests the thickness or the density of the gas. Or you could just say that it's coming in, like a gas, shut up Leslie, if there's a cloud, in the wind, it moves quickly, you get the idea that there's maybe a sense of movement as it's approaching them really quite quickly as well, which makes it even more alarming for them. Alright, next question. Pick out and quote the simile. Again, we've done a lesson on similes. Do you see where I've been going all this time, building up the skills? So pick out the simile. So the simile is the white cloud swirling around him like fog. And again, what does it tell us about the gas by using that technique? So these techniques are called imagery, because you're imagining, right? The fog is a cloud. The fog is, shut up Leslie, the gas is a cloud, the gas is swirling like fog. So it's to get you to imagine it. So you can say something like, just like a cloud, fog is a cloud of water which is dense and thick, makes it difficult to see. I'm sure you've all seen fog when you've been out walking, or if you've been in the car and you have to put fog lights on. So that just suggests how tricky it is for the men to see clearly, which again would be dangerous, because even if they can get their masks on, they won't be able to see around them, so they could be the enemy approaching without their knowledge. Question 7. Read over lines 11 to 14, which starts, shells floated across to sink earthwards. The poet compares the bullet shells to puppets, or it could be the artillery shells that had the gas, we don't know. Pick out the expression which suggests this. So the idea of a puppet is portrayed through the quote, excuse me, the dog's distracting me. Shells floated across as if suspended by hidden strings, like a puppet on a string. That is actually an old song. I'm not sorry to destroy your eardrums. So that obviously suggests they're being controlled by someone else. Kind of like that film, The Matrix, when they move in slow motion. It's almost like these shells have got a life of their own as they're falling to the ground. Ooh, can we imagine it in slow-mo? Right, I've been chatting for long enough. Yes, you have, I hear you say. So, wee question for you to think about. This is not on the sheet. I'm just going to try to get you to look closely at the poem a wee bit more in depth. So have a look at the length of the lines, the line length in stanza 1 and 2. Does anything stand out? What do you notice about the length of the lines? So look at stanza 1 and then look at stanza 2. Alexa, play. Back in a minute. Excuse me. Alexa, stop. Thank you, my little cucaracha. What did you notice then? So hopefully you've maybe spotted the fact that the first stanza, that little word gas, and then there's 2 or 3 words, then there's 3 or 4 words, then there's a bit more words. So the line lengths gradually increase in size, going like this, if you're watching me. Woo! So they're spreading out. So that's really clever. That's not done accidentally. Poets have only got a very limited space to write, to use get their thoughts down and use these techniques. So line length and structure of poems is very important as well. So that's been done on purpose. What could that suggest? Well, it may obviously reflect the gas coming out of the canisters and getting closer and closer to the men. So it starts off, gas, it's been thrown, it's coming out, and just the spread of it as it comes out the artillery shell. And that's what that looks like. In stanza 2, the lines vary a little bit more, so there's a bit more of a weaving in and out, and again, that's to sort of suggest the idea. Remember, it talks about the gas swirling, so it could imply, you know, with the fact that it's moving in and out, that it's swirling around them or around the soldiers. So you might not have spotted that, but I bet now you do. So when you're studying poetry, always have a wee look. Just scan it from above, like a bird's point of view. Look down at it and see what you notice, because it's really clever, some of the things that poets use without many people noticing. So, just a couple more things to look at that I didn't ask you about. So, why do you think the word unawares has been put on its own line? So I've just written the poem out again, just in case you don't have it. So a man choked as the white cloud, swirling round him like fog, caught him unawares. Now, when you're reading poetry, remember to read on at the end of the line, unless there's a piece of punctuation to stop you. So here, it's called enjambment, enjambement. Enjambment is usually what we just call it, and that just means to run on. So the line runs on to the next line. So you shouldn't pause when you're reading poetry at that point, unless there's a piece of punctuation, which there are here twice, a wee comma. So because of that enjambment, the word unawares sits on its own. Why do you think? Why do you think it sits on its own? Just one of these questions I'll give you a wee second to think about while I look like I'm thinking too. Think about what the word means. Yes, I hear you shouted at the telly. I wish I could, it'd be great. Why do you think it's been put on its own? Obviously, the word unaware suggests a surprise, suddenness, shock. So it's been put on its own because it's just to emphasise the word. That's a really good word to keep using in English. To emphasise it, to make it seem even more dramatic and sudden. That this poor man has been caught out by the fog. He didn't expect it. Little frog, sorry, ribbit. So single word lines like that are used for emphasis, just like gas at the beginning. So our attention is drawn to them for a reason. So obviously gas at the beginning is to show what's happening. So we picture the scene and show the panic. Or somebody's actually shouted it. In this case, the word unawares is highlighted to show the abrupt way the man has suddenly been caught by the gas. Right, one more little thing. So shells floated, and now you've got a comma, then the word tired, then another comma. Now this is actually a technique called parenthesis. Ooh, fancy! You don't need to worry about that just now. I'll maybe do another lesson on that on its own later on. Then tired they sank earthwards. Now the noun, there's a lesson on that, remember? The noun in that sentence is the shells. However, the word they has been done deliberately because we're not sure if the word tired is referring to the shells falling down like this in slow-mo, or who else could be tired? Correct, the soldiers. So it's effective because Erno Müller has deliberately said they instead of identifying a particular thing or person. So it could be both shells and soldiers. So they're tired and fall to the ground slowly, so that makes them seem alive, because obviously objects don't get tired. That's another technique that we're going to look at tomorrow. What that is, you might already know what it is, but if not, we're going to study it tomorrow. So that could suggest that Even the artillery shells have had enough of fighting. They're just sick and tired of it as well. So they're just falling down and fed up. But obviously it implies the soldier's fatigue, because you can imagine you're not really going to be alert after spending weeks and months living in a muddy trench by getting, artillery shells launched at you every left, right and centre. So it's to show their exhaustion too. So the word they has been deliberately used to suggest that there could be both these things. So the men are exhausted, or they're dying, so they're falling earthwards, or it could also be the shells. Alright, so just one last little question. How does the poet feel about war at this point in the poem? So just looking at his description in stanzas 1 and 2, is he selling it to you? Do you fancy being a soldier? Just 30 seconds and I'll pop back. Alexa, play. So how does Müller feel about war? Alexa, stop. Obviously, he's anti-war at this point. I'm sure you've said the same. He's against war. He's really not selling it. If it was an advert, you wouldn't be joining up here, would you? Based on that description of this poor man being caught unawares. So, we'll have a look more at the rest of the poem later in the week. So, I've just noted a few things here. So, the description of the gas and the way it's suffocating them is horrifying, terrifying. A man choking, so he's described as a man, which is obviously done effectively. It suggests either that they don't know who this man is, or that they can't see who it is because of the gas. So it's just, he lacks an identity. So as a group, a man could represent any one of those soldiers on the battlefield. So they don't have an identity when they're out there. They're just a number, just another soldier on the ground to try and attack the enemy. Alright, hope you found that useful. So tomorrow we're going to look at personification. What's that? You'll find out tomorrow, one of the techniques that we mentioned today. If you haven't done so, please like and subscribe to my Facebook and YouTube channels. Get the access to the resources by clicking on groups and then ask to join the groups, and all the free work that I'm putting on is in there, and you can obviously do work from weeks ago as well. That'll keep you busy. If you're not on Facebook, there are the links to the Google Classroom. All the resources are also on that. And I'm doing these for free because I love you. If you'd like to say thanks, that's my wee PayPal address if you'd like to send me £1 or £2 for a cup of tea to keep me going. Alright, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow for the personification lesson. It's so hard to say that. Put my teeth in. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Have a good day. Alexa, play.